Hi, Assalamualaikum, and very good morning to all viewers. My name is Afzan Mahadi, Head of Coaching Expertise, Akademi Kejuratihan Kebangsaan, Institut Sukanegara. First at all, I would like to send my gratitude and thanks to all ICCE members, coaches, teachers, parents, students, athletes, AKK followers, MSN, ISN, local and international viewers and fans. Thank you for supporting us. Welcome to our AKK webinar Talk and Share Series 11 on the coaching the youth physical development, male versus female. Today, we are going to discuss further regarding the how are we going to do a basic element on the coaching the physical development among a youth, male and female. All right. We are going to further our discussion today with the matter that been discussed before. Um, The development of physical fitness in a young athlete is a rapidly expanding field of interest for strength and conditioning coaches, physical educators, sports coaches, parents, and etc. Previous long-term athletes development models have classified youth-based training methodologies in relation to chronologic age group, which is related to the chronology age group, and also an approach that has been distinct limitation. More recent models have attempted to bridge maturation and period of the trainability for a limited numbers of fitness qualities, and this is also referred to the windows of opportunity. um, Enhancing the physical ability of children throughout childhood and adolescence to maximize athletic success at an adult age is not a novel concept as evidenced by earlier youth-based training, but this one is also referring to the social background, the economical background, the socialization influences among a training regime, etc. So the statement of the importance of not treating children like miniature adult owing to the clear differences in physical growth and stature. So the basic introduction that I highlighted just now, showing on the how do coaches develop the basic coaching on the youth physical development, male versus female, relate to the chronological age, relate to the windows of opportunity, a sensitive period, and etc. Okay, what is youth and youth physical development? The youth physical development is a model provide a logical and evidence-based approach to the systematic development of physical performance in young athletes. So when we refer the element of the youth physical development, we cannot we actually touch a little bit on the basic element on the fundamental movement skill. We are dealing with the metabolic conditioning. We are referring on the PHV, meaning that peak height velocity, the sport specific skill, and also the youth physical development. These contents relate on the five element. I'm going to give a more detail. The research has been come out from a certain or other researcher at, if I'm not mistaken, year 2012 regarding the youth physical development. And the of course in my previous presentation related to the basic training, I did mention about the numbers of the time span for those who are involved in earlier age, like initial level of involvement in that particular sport. So they need to spend their time on the fundamental skill, which is under fundamental movement skill. We divide into three elements that I'm going to show later on. All right, I have five or six element that I'm going to share with you guys. The fundamental movement skill referring to the locomotor skill, stability skill, manipulative movement skill. This basic element actually can gain or as a foundation for whatever sports that you want to your kids or your athletes get involved with later on, because from the basic fundamental movement skill actually can upgrade the level of conditioning on and the specialized or on the specific sport skill that you are going to train later on. So the locomotor skill, stability skill, and manipulative movement skill, they have a one or two different type of stages, meaning that for first year of the involvement, you may use only a basic element on the locomotor, stability, and manipulative. But when you go into the second year or third year, you might combine those elements on the locomotor skill, on the stability, and finally you can come out with the manipulative movement skill. A lot of the models or the approach that been used worldwide regarding the fundamental movement skill, but the main element here is we need to make sure that the young kids who are involved with sports remain with the sports, not in a specific sport, but remain active, living in a basic way. So for the second one, I like to show on the metabolic conditioning, which is involving the window of opportunity for the strength development in youth occur in between 12 to 18 months after peak height velocity occur. So which typically commensurate with the peak weight velocity too. So what is peak height velocity? Peak height velocity is a maximum velocity of the growth stature and has been used to characterize a development in performance relative to the adolescent growth part. So there is a method that we show to the researcher before this on the how are you going to measure the athletes or measure the team that you want to predict with later on. Okay, the peak weight velocity is a phase of development characteristic or characterized by rapid increases in muscle mass as a result of the increasing sex hormone concentration. This is later on in my slide, I'm going to share with you when girls who reach the puberty, normally the higher of the body mass and sometimes a little bit adding on the fat in their body and so on. So this is related to the performance itself. So as a coach, you do not too worried about the changes of transition of the puberty level for the your athletes. And the sport specific skill here mentioning about the starting with the FMS as a building block for the specific movement pattern, and also typically focus on the physical development program for children from early childhood to develop gross motor. So from onset of the puberty, adolescent can then be introduced to more specific um, uh, coaching on the sport specific skill, because during this time we are going to introduce them, we are going to expose young kids who are started with the sport specific skill itself on the competitive scenario. Meaning of the competitive scenario is not to say that you are going to go into state level or into region level and so on, but you actually can encourage the early competition scenario, like doing like you create the mini competition, you create the relay itself, allow them to explore the spaces and allow them to feel better and coping with the situation of the competition. The situation of the competition scenario during that time actually is quite um, stressful sometimes for the young kids, because they are not able to do or to perform whatever things that they're supposed to perform, like what the coach taught them. So during this time, the support system from parents, from the guardian, from the coaches, the team members, in fact from the other spectators play essential role. So that is why the competition scenario, we actually myself itself, and I think many of others researchers outside there also agree, if we cannot suddenly give the competition scenario immediately without giving them like a scenario competition, playing among the sibling or playing among the team members in your team. Before you cross them into a certain level, then sometime in your team, at school level, at states level, wherever it is, you have multiple of different type of maturity. Sometimes you have the athletes who are aged um, 13, 14, 15, and again, you cannot compare those athletes who are 15 fit like athletes who are 13 years old. So this is the element that should be considered later on during your competition level. And the next one is YPD. On the model shows later on the youth program or development. The youth shows that 12 to 13 years old boys should focus on the strength, speed, agility, and sport specific development. But this one, of course, not to say that focus, meaning that you're not doing any other a skill. You need to continue and less focus on the hypertrophy, mobility, fundamental movement skill, endurance, and conditioning. So I'm going to discuss with you guys further on this when we reach into the suggested youth youth and development model later on. All right. Male and female youth physical development model shows that the fundamental movement skill (FMS) are prioritized from an early age. Why? This is because rapid development of the central nervous system during this period promotes the development and learning of the motor skill. It is believed that children will learn skills more easily at younger age. But the skill that I mentioned just now is not a very high technical skill. But if you are involved with the early age specialization, for example, like diving, rhythmic gymnastic, and so on, they should concentrate more detail. But I believe the International Federation has stated that every age of involvement in terms of chronological age, training age, and so on, they already divided into the scheme, which is I still remember that, like if you are at a little gymnast, you need to spend, for example, like 6 months in order to for you to complete the details of what we call it, a little gymnast. Then inside the little gymnast element, you need to complete, or athletes need to complete 60 different type of skill. So they already actually come out with the a standard requirement for athletes to undergo the process. I also believe in certain sport they do have this type, but not really been exposed outside. But obviously, like rhythmic gymnastic, diving, wushu, and so on, for those who are start as early as 5, 7 years old, they may use that one as a guideline. All right, mastery of the fundamental movement skill allow children to progress in the development of specific skills itself. Why? Because to be honest, to tell everybody, sometimes it's not being fair for those who are dealing with the grassroots level, being notified here by upper level, saying that I receive the athletes who not accomplish their skill, like for example, like if you are playing hockey, they do not know how to properly hold the hockey stick in their own way, or in a proper way of doing it. So sometimes this blame cannot be cannot be manipulated, or this blame cannot be I sometimes disagree with this blame. Why? Because uh, grassroots level coach actually taught the children to progress with the development sport specific skill uh, by mastering the fundamental movement skill. But sometimes because when the second coach receive or uh, having the second group of children who entered at their club or their centers, the athlete itself is not only playing one sports. They might playing, or a coach actually develop the sport sampling at early age. Sometimes for those who are playing hockey, they may know how to play football, they may know how to play handball, and so on. But the sport itself is depending on the availability at the area that the kids living with. But I encourage coaches who specialize, for example, in hockey. They need to know. What I mean is specialize in hockey at the grassroots level. They really need to know the um, uh, other sports like sepak takraw, like what else? Football, handball, and so on. Might be they really need to have their based on their own sports group itself. So here is where FMS are not mastered. Then this can lead to the proficiency barrier, preventing children from learning more advanced skill. So why this statement mentioning here? Because if you completed the FMS among your athletes, so it's quite easier for the second coach, the specialized coach, to learn more on the advanced skill. So normally the second level of coach, they might assume that they receive the athletes who are already 50% better on the manipulation of the basic skill in terms of fundamental movement skill and so on. But if they receive only 10% perfection element on the fundamental movement skill, so supposedly coach who second level may start 51% to 100%, or 51% to 70%. They may need to reverse back into, might be if they have 20, they need to spend another 30% at the certain element. So this is why the fundamental, or mastering the fundamental movement skill, is a very important here. So the simultaneous development of the fundamental movement skill and strength allow children to demonstrate control, movement, and all other form of exercise. So this is the overall why fundamental movement skill on the male and female youth physical development is very important. And of course, this contemporary model is based on the evidence, which is the model that I'm going to show with you guys later, right after this slide, and shows that youth participants are responsive to the training throughout childhood and adolescent, meaning coaches really can make a difference at all stage of development. All right, we go for the next slide. All right, I'm going to show with you the this is actually from the Lloyd RS and Oliver year 2012. The element here, I just show the chronological age between 2 to 21 plus plus, and the maturational status, pre-pubertal, pubertal, growth part, and post-pubertal. So training adaptation here predominantly neutral, and the middle combination of neutral and hormonal. Okay, you can see the those is very not to say that quite light on the FMS. For example, here the 2, 3, 4 years old, they emphasize the fundamental movement skill at their own level, which is I think everybody can Google what the fundamental movement skill that allow the second, third, or fourth years of your chronological age. And then the when you reach, or young kids reach 5, 6, 7, 8, is more harder element, more complete element, or comprehensive element on the fundamental movement skill should be occur here. And then they became less and lesser when they are reached 9, 10, 11, then 12 until 20, lesser and lesser. But another part of the physical quality here, you can see on the age of 2 to 4 years old, you have very less on the specific sport skill, because they sometimes get involved. The sport itself is a fun element of sports. It just allow them to know the technique, to know the basic element of that sports. What are the, for example, like the way for you to conduct the sport itself, is that the sport in a ball element or individual element and so on. But when you reach at age 5, 6, 7, 8, the exposure of these sports itself, like example, you ask them to play football, but during this time the modification of the sport specific skill, plus minus the modification at age 9, 10, 11 on the rules itself, on the um, uh, what you call it, a field of training itself, the court, modified court, or modified equipment, or whatever things modified in terms of rule. Instead of playing half an hour, you just need to play like 7 minutes per session, or 3 minutes per session, something like that. But when they reach 12 to say for example 20 and above, the sport specific skill more harder over here. So they might have like 12 years old in certain regime, 13, 14, and so on. But normally with the sensitive period or window opportunity, we need to look at the element like mobility over here. You can see the 2 to 4 years old, the agility is totally really allow them to free flow on the agility, speed, power, but little bit strong, a little bit on the strength. But strength here is not referring for you to ask children to lift thing, but might be allow them to run, to jump. That is part of the strength element that we discuss about. When you reach at the certain age of 5 till 11 or 12, they might really need the mobility, agility, speed, power, and strength. But during this time, it's just exposure, not free flow, but you give like um, what they call it, powerful, or might be uh, a systematic element on the physical development, on physical qualities. And later on, the mobility a bit less at age 12 to 20, something like that, but a little bit harder on the agility, speed, power, strength, and so on. But when they already manipulate during this time, agility, speed, the age of 17 to 20 plus, the agility and speed become lesser. But this is generalities. This is not specific sport. I'm talking about generalities. Don't be uh, feel awkward with me when I said that when you reach 17 to 20, they speak a little bit less, because the technique, everything must be taught, must be you must train them during this time, but not really so specific. But this is just only a generalities of sports that may use. But sometimes you can refer with your specific sports. But in way of until 12 years old or 11, you may use this one as a guide. Here, strength, you can see a strength and heavy strength a little bit. Strength here is more to here, and here is more to your own body weight, your athlete's body weight. They do know, do they know how to do a proper push up, proper sit up, whatever things like related to the locomotor skill, like you walk like crab, you walk like things like related to the full muscle movement. Okay, all right. So okay, this is a hypertrophy. Endurance level at age 2 to 4 is almost nothing, but allow them to just exploring the space and so on. Then they become harder and harder. But the training structure itself at the age 2 to 4 to 5 years old, because I think for those in Asia area region, we may use 2 to 6 years old, depending on the situation. This is more to unstructured, and then low structured, moderate structured, high structured here, and very high structured over here. When very high structured over here, the physical development on the physical qualities occur, but referring to the SSS, sport specific skill element on this one. This is what may happen to the male youth physical development model. What about female? Female have a similarity on the male, but of course we need to have a look on the you can see the different, a little bit different on over here. Instead of power and strength, you can see the age 17, and this one is almost 16. It's a gap between 1 or 2 years in between male and female. All right. Okay, the PHV, the peak height velocity. What is it important to know when PHV occur? PHV. What is so important with a PHV? PHV, back to the statement that I mentioned. The PHV is also the generalities prediction of the athletes and youth. Sometimes you may use a PHV, like use the parents, use the what they call grandparent height velocity to check on the predicted or prediction of your or of your athlete's height. Here we can see what is the important to know when PHV occurs. PHV is a key component of the long-term athletes development program. This is being raised whenever you read the literature review and so on. So this is a PHV. But the different rate in the PHV, I mean different rate in your team, depending on the certain PHV in terms of early, average or late maturer. So here you can see you have in a football team who are same age but they have a different rate of level in terms of PHV or puberty level, early, average, and mature. So you need to know the basic element or the how do you approach your early, average, and late mature for your team. So PHV for girls may be occur between age of 9 to 13 years old, boys around 12 to 16 years old. But these PHV girls and boys been um, the research is based on the Europe. So sometime for the Asia country, Asian country, we refer this one a little bit 1 or 2 years later than them, because I had the opportunity when I've been one of the team members as a main a manager during that time when I went to the Elite Athletics Australia. I saw the athletes who are age 11 years old. Their height is almost same with me. My height is around 170 centimeters, and they are 11, more or less height around 170, more or less slightly uh, shorter than me. So the difference on the peak height velocity must occur there. And of course, every coach need to plan a proper training regime at different rate of maturity here, depending on the girls or boys, because sometimes you may see boys a little bit shorter than girls when they are age 11, 12. But later on when they are 13, 14, 16, they speed up their height. They are taller than others. All right. How to monitor PHV? Experts are recommending that all measurements are taken in morning at the consistent time. So there is a step 1 to step 5 as a next slide that I can show with you. And the third one is how long is the growth part. So according to research that I reviewed, the growth part can last anywhere from 1.5 years for fast developers to 5 years for slow developers. So typically a girl grows on the average 6 centimeters in the first year of her growth part, and 8 centimeters in the second year, and 6 centimeters in the third year later on. So what about boys? 10 to 15 years in boys, puberty lasts about 2 to 5 years. This growth part is associated with the sexual development in terms of um, element that relate to the sexual development here. Okay. All right. This is I would like to show with you the how to monitor PHV. All right. As the first one, as soon as athletes turn 6 years of age, this is based on the European country. So might be in here we may use 7 or 8 years old. As soon as the athletes turn 6 years of age, the coach should be measure height every 3 months. Actually, the calculator for the prediction of the PHV widely being used. If you Google via internet, you can add in the whatever things like related to height, a little bit on weight, on the sitting height, something like that. The second one, produce a chart with the height of the vertical axis and age on the horizontal axis. Meaning that age, if you started at age 8.3, for example, they're born at 1st of January, like say 1st of January 2012, and you actually measure on the 1st of March 2020, so meaning that their age during that time 8.3, 8.3, meaning that 8 years 3 months, something like that. So that is on your horizontal, but on your chart it's look like height and this one. Okay, on your chart you can see the height, produce a chart, and the height and the vertical axis for the age. The third one, notice more the deceleration in growth followed by acceleration in growth. Coach should start to measure the arm span as well height of the athletes. The arm span, you should be at the wall, and make sure that your end of your fingers must be end. And then the last one, that one you can also can Google from internet how to do the proper arm span. And then similar chart to the above should be developed to display all three measurements. Consistent acceleration in growth should be noticed at this time. Then the athlete training has to be adapted according to the windows of trainability. So PHV is the highest point for growth acceleration. After PHV is attained, a deceleration in growth will happen. Continue monitor growth 12 to 18 months after PHV. So this is how are you going to monitor the PHV. But believe me that the PHV is just one tool. Beside, you predict the, of course, the prediction of the peak height velocity actually influenced by number one, by gene of your family, of your kids. The second one might be food or the nutritional intake. And then the third one, the physical development in terms of what are they doing in their life. Are they sedentary, or they like to do like more jumping? They like to do whatever physical ability that required. This is may interact or influence in order to get a very good height. Beside, the main element is a gene. All right, this is a window of trainability that occur for the males and females. So you can see here, males is in between 13 to 14, female in between 12 to 13 something. Then you can see the, for example, males, females, on the suppleness, on the flexibility time, female on the flexibility between 6 to 10 years old. This is a sensitive period. For male, in between 5.5 until you can see 9 years old. So you can make a comparison on the window of trainability over here. All right. I already shows the slide before, but I love to repeat this one to share with you on the whatever things like related on the coaching gender differences. All right, so the coaching gender differences actually involving female and male. Like for example, as the female athletes, coach must consider on the behavior or the characteristic for the female. Normally female, personable, sensitive, empathetic, emotional, and connections. while male is actually more objective, analytical, one-dimensional, only one side, visual and processor. What about the second one? The female actually hardware, direction, two-ways communication, whilst a male actually aggressive, goal determination, active, competitive, dominating and controlling. Male also controlling. All right, so here you can see the difference when you are dealing with the what they call athletes that you have. But normally the opportunity that we have here only for those who have mixed sports, for example, um, mixed sports. I actually can relate to handball, hockey, but sometimes, of course, the at the grassroots level, you may combine male and female, but at the higher level may have different group, and female have a different group. But sometimes they may use male and female as a sparring partner for them to do things related to the training regime or the competition. What about the health and the morphological body and so on? Female have very conscious on the weight management, and female conscious about beauty, male conscious about muscular body type, and concerned about fitness. Both aside of the point number three actually may influence them to take any substance from outsider who actually banned by World Anti-Doping Agency related to the doping intake. You might not notify that this supplement actually have the substance which been barred from or banned from the WADA or anti-doping Adamas Malaysia. But over here we need to extra careful with the athletes to be or to monitor them to not take any supplement without any advice from the experts. I like to share when I discuss this matter regarding supplement for those who are aged 18 and below. Those who are aged 18 and below do not require to have a supplement, extra supplement from outside, because they during the growth of age between 7, or might be I can say like started at age 0 to the age 18, you can add your element on the whatever things like supplement in terms of fiber and everything from natural food. So they are not really encouraged for the athletes to take any other supplement without any experts advice, for example from the dietitian, from the nutritionist, or from the doctor itself. So yeah, we need to extra careful. Then I would like to ask all coaches to view WADA website to have a look what are actually things that a medicine that can be used for athlete, including the cough medicine, flu medicine, something like that, because might be this is uh, can be recognized as a normal supplement or normal medicine for normal people, but not for the competitive and recreational athletes. All right, then we continue with the physiological changes during puberty and performance. This I'm going to share with you further later on. And the physiological body structure and fitness strength, acceleration, and speed. All right, this is on the coaching gender differences. All right, we go for the next one. All right, this is just on the anatomical age that refer to the several stage of anatomical growth that coach can recognize by identifying particular characteristic. Anatomical age clearly demonstrate that complexity of growth, and the summaries of the anatomical age you can view here on the chronological age, stage, age, and the development characteristic. So I might use only on the pre-puberty for the school years, age 6 to 12, 6 to 11 or 7 to 12 for boys, a slow and balanced development when the function of some organs become more efficient. This on the developmental characteristic. Then of course, for those who are puberty, fast growth and development on in height, weight, and also the tendency of group some organ, sexual maturity, sexual maturation with change in interest and behavior over here, and also a slow balance and the proportional development functional maturation on the age for post-puberty and adolescent, age between 13 to 18 years for girls, 14 to 18 years for boys. And finally, for the young adults, the maturity level of stage, age between 19 to 25 years old, during this developmental characteristic, occur on the maturity or maturation period double by perfecting all function and psychological trait, and athletics and psychological potential are maximized during this time, all right, on the anatomical age. All right. Okay. We go for the comparison. This is a comparison between male and female athletes or male or female kids. Male have high oxygen consumption, while female have a low oxygen consumption. Male have a high ratio muscle mass and body weight. Then from this type of high ratio muscle mass and a body weight can allow greater speed. So don't push a female athlete to do greater speed too much, because you need to understand the physiological differences between male athletes and female athletes. Female athletes have a wider pelvic, a lower center of gravity, and uh, if like female athlete, they have a wider pelvic, and at the same time the lower center of gravity actually can gain the excellence balance among them. So when you compare female and male, female actually have the excellent balance compared than male. um, for male and female, muscle strength is more or less equal, right? Muscle strength, but um, the sorry, the male muscle strength is quite equal for their body, but for female they have 10% slower, meaning that 2/3 strength of men, right? Of the male, and the we continue with the male have a longer, larger bone, which is a larger structure instead of structure. But for female, they have the more efficiency, muscle strength equal, and they have more efficient converting glycogen to energy. This is female, and opposite to male. So if you are, I mean, female have the efficient converting glycogen to the energy, meaning that female can sustain more in terms of running a long distance and so on, because they not saying that easily, but they have efficient naturally on the converting glycogen to energy very fast, not to the male. And then for the male adolescent, a larger trunk, shorter leg than female, right? Then beside adolescent for a female, shorter trunk, leg, then shorter trunk and leg, then female but equal stature. Right? Then a male tend to develop wider shoulder relative to hip. Wider shoulder relative to hip, but for female they have a shoulder hip ratio remain relatively. For both comparison, they actually combine same function in terms of later child age 6 to 12. The ratio of shoulder to hip within is relatively stable for those gender. So this is just a basic element that as a coach you should know when you're dealing with in terms of physiological. This is very basic. I'm not going to go more deeper and deeper because I think for year 2021 we might invite the physiologists, exercise physiologists to detail more on the function of male and female. All right, the implication for the sport performance that when we see the comparison just now, of course, the first one, wide shoulder and long limb, provide a mechanical advantage in propelling object. For example, like throwing, striking, and kicking. So you may have a look on the shoulder and long limb provide. But I don't have any proportion in terms of statistic on that. Might be I do not know. I'm not really go into the details of norms or of the Malaysian or the ASEAN region and so on, ASEAN region and so on. The second one, long legs and narrow hip contribute to better mechanical efficiency in running and jumping. Okay, long leg and narrow to contribute a better mechanical. So long leg is not only for running and jumping, but you can see running in terms of athletics, jumping, athletics, and might be for those who are martial art. So that is why we check on the kids who actually have a low upper body shorter than lower body, long in a lower leg. And they have a very energetic or very what they call the love of the martial art. So the advantage for this athlete maybe occur because they have a long leg. It's also involving long distance, the jumper, they have long leg and shorter upper body and so on. Shorter leg and wider hip are associated with the better balancing ability and ability to make sudden stop while running. So shorter leg, you also can see the weightlifter. You can see, I saw the quite numerous of the squash athletes who have the lower, shorter leg, but upper body is quite tall, something like that, height. All right. So this is three element on the implication for the sports performance. Okay. The coaching points here, I would like to share with you the childhood opportunity. Okay, the coaching point that I can share here, I have 4 with me, the coaching point. The first one is childhood opportunities. The slow, stable, predictable growth rate during childhood, which is between 6 to 12 or might be 7 to 12 years old, is an ideal time for learning new motor skills. Children this age should be exposed to the broad array of sports opportunity. Here, we need to check on the generalities of this childhood opportunity. The second one is predicting success. Among adolescents, the strength part can lag a year behind the height part. Be very conscious about the predicting future athletic success in, for example, in the team sport based on the performance during the growth part. Sometimes you check them earlier part, you say that they have no potential, but sometimes they actually came from the late maturer. The third one, the positioning player. Consider body proportion when assigning player to position. This is related for the team sports. And also the long leg and broad shoulder well suit to the propelling object, narrow hip and long leg for running, wide hip and short leg equal better balance, quick and stop. What about the matching player? Matching player make every effort to avoid physical mismatch during practice game and competition. So weight consideration before age of, for example, like age of 10, weight differences between boys and girls are minimal. But with boys being slightly heavier, and however, early in the adolescent growth part, girls are often heavier than their male counterpart. Normally, by age of 14, girls' weight has a level off while boys continue to make substantial weight gain into their early 20s. So for the most part of this one, for the most part, that changes in weight parallel those for height with the peak weight velocity following peak height velocity. During later childhood, for example, like age of 6 or 7 to 12, annual weight gain is approximately 6.5 pounds, or more or less like 2 or 3 kilos. Among boys, peak weight velocity, higher rate in weight gain is closer to peak height velocity than it is in girls. So this is play essential role in terms of the um, focusing on the details of the coach element. And of course, weight and the sport performance during a lesson, the relationship between weight to skill sports performance is highly task specific. We cannot run from this. Heavier weight is often advantageous when propelling object, and disadvantageous when moving one body through space. So you can see from your athletes itself, for those who are heavier, for those who are a little bit light. But of course, in terms of morphological body, we cannot say that those you can see the body is quite fat, chubby, and so on. You cannot get involved with sport. There is a certain sports that not really required athletes to have a very thin body. Mesos the bodies need to really so fit, super fit. We have different type of sport, different type of morphology with different type of approach in different type of sports. All right. So we go for the almost end of our session. All right. This is just adding a value that I want to add in my presentation on the coaching the youth physical development, male versus female. All right. Prepubertal boys and girls similar rate of development in growth and maturity, and the uh, um, similar rate of the development in growth and maturation despite consistent sex differences, strength, speed, power, endurance, and coordination. All right. Then, of course, we need to check on the prepubertal years, a period where children will experience rapid gain in bone mass because of the modeling and remodeling. Modeling and remodeling is like a spot sampling on the what you try to get. You try to find the talent, exact talent. The adolescent growth spurt occur around 2 years earlier in girls, about 10 years old, or might be in Asia region, might be 11 years old. Then in boys, 12 years old. Girls experience the peak height velocity at an early age than boys, 12 years versus 14 years. And of course, during the adolescence part, female athletes will undergo sex-specific physiological processes that may affect performance. For example, as I mentioned earlier, increased fat mass, differential rate of the development of neuromuscular strength and height and weight. Commencement of the menstrual cycle, increased joint laxity, knee and things that realize the quadricep, dominant landing strategies, and so on. So this element that I show just now is the basic element that um, as a coach, you cannot say that why these girls cannot perform well when they are age uh, 11, 12, something like that. During that time, might be pre-pubertal or pubertal level happen, which is involving the physiological changes for the athletes itself. All right, thank you for the listening to our webinar. All right, I really hope that you enjoy having the good discussion with me today. I might thank you very much for the all viewers. I just got the opportunity to have um, AKK, a fan who always with us to support our program. And of course, do we have any Q&A session? Yeah, I have the uh, Cikgu Abbas Cikgu Abbas Kassim now only focus multilateral training and also kids athletics game. Oh, mentioning about before. And he did mention about sorry, I'm coaching boy and girls under 12. So boy and girl under 12 might be this is a good way for Cikgu Abbas Chak to have a look my presentation PowerPoint today. That's might influence your training regime during your program. All right. Any Q&A question related? All right. I think there is no question, but I will give the detail. Thank you for the Kevin Amit because supporting. Thank you for such informative sharing. Appreciates a lot. Thank you so much, Kevin. Who else? All right. I think that's all from me. I look forward to discuss further related to the adolescent growth and development with implication for the youth sports coaches later on. And I really hope that winning is not everything. To say that every coaches must emphasize the long-term athletes development because winning is not everything. Winning is part of the journey that might be succeed later. And I really hope the commitment from the coaches is not only watching us in the our AKK webinar talk and share series, but also the implementation. If any inquiry regarding the long-term athletes development or coaching element, you may easily access me with the norafzan@isn.gov.my, or might be you may ask whatever question related in the FB AKK that required me to answer your question. And if I cannot answer your question, I might refer this to the more expert people outside there. And I really hope that everybody enjoy watching our AKK Talk and Share Series 11, Coaching the Youth of Physical Development, Male versus Female. Thank you. Bye.